Welcome to Haven Sleep Stories. You have made exactly the right choice for tonight. A quiet choice, a kind one. Because whatever your body is carrying right now, whatever the day has left behind in your muscles and your mind and the space between your shoulder blades, this is the place where all of that gets to stop, right here, starting now. This voice will be here whether you are listening or dreaming. Your sleeping mind will carry what it needs and release the rest, the way a river carries what belongs to it and lets the rest settle to the bottom. So from this moment forward, there is nothing required of you. Nothing at all. Only this, only the breath, only the weight of your body against whatever is beneath it right now. And as you settle, and as you begin to let the weight of you simply rest, tonight, you're going somewhere ancient, somewhere at the edge of the world, to a place that was built by 1,000,000 hands and has been standing in the mountains of northern China for 600 years, waiting without impatience for exactly this kind of quiet night. But first, let the body arrive here. Your eyes may already be closed, and if they are not, they will close when they are ready in their own time. And perhaps you just notice the simple fact of your own breathing. Not controlled, not adjusted, only observed. Air entering through the nose, cool and clean. A brief pause at the top, and then the long, quiet release of the exhale. Your body has been doing this every moment of your life without a single instruction from your conscious mind. It will do it every moment of this night as well. You can simply let it. Now, here is something true that every person knows in their body, even if the mind sometimes forgets it. You have been carrying a great deal today, a great deal for many days, and the body, the patient, loyal, uncomplaining body, has held all of it without asking for anything in return. The tension in your shoulders is not weakness. It is evidence of everything you have carried, and tonight, for these hours, you are allowed to set it down. Feel the weight of your body right now, the full actual weight of it pressing into the mattress or the cushion or whatever surface is receiving you. The surface is doing all the holding. Every pound of you is being supported completely, right now, in this moment, without any contribution from your muscles at all. They don't need to help. The surface has it. Your shoulders, you might notice them where they are. And as you notice them, just as naturally as noticing causes this, they drop. Not because you told them to, only because noticing and releasing are in the body the same thing. And already something is beginning to shift. It happens naturally to everyone who allows it, and it is already beginning in you. And as you notice this, a softening begins. It begins in the places you didn't even realize you were holding. The jaw perhaps loosening just slightly, the hands perhaps uncurling, the backs of the thighs perhaps releasing their grip on the day, each one letting go at its own pace in its own time without any effort at all. And as that softening moves through you, you might notice something underneath it all, a natural ease, a state your body already knows, has always known, the way it knows how to breathe and how to sleep. This is not something you need to work toward. It is what has been there all along, beneath the holding. And each time you notice it, the body finds it again, a little deeper, a little more completely. The breath continues, slowly, without effort, and so do we. The back of your skull is heavy against whatever supports it. That heaviness moves down through the neck, through the long column of the spine, spreading outward through the shoulders and downward into the arms. Your arms are heavy now, not the heaviness of effort, the heaviness of things that have finished. Heavy the way a hand feels after it has finally, completely let go of something it was carrying for too long. Your hands are open or softly curled. Either way, they are holding nothing, and there's enormous relief in that if you let yourself feel it. The hands spend so much of life in the business of gripping and reaching and pressing and typing and carrying. To open them now and hold nothing, that is its own kind of rest. Your chest rises and falls, slower with each breath. Your belly is soft, your hips are heavy and sinking, the long muscles of your thighs releasing the calves, the ankles, the feet, the very soles of the feet, which have carried you across every surface of this day. They are still now, done, resting. From the crown of your head to the tips of your toes, your body is releasing layer by layer into the surface beneath it, like a structure that has held its shape all day, and now, in the dark and the quiet, is allowed to simply be the material it is made of. No longer a building, only stone, only warmth, only weight at rest. And perhaps you might notice your awareness beginning to settle on one thing. A single point. It does not matter what it is. The darkness behind your eyelids, the faint sound of the air in the room, the sensation of the fabric against your skin. One thing soft, present. And as your awareness rests there, you can feel that something in the quality of your attention is already changing, becoming less busy, less scanning, less searching for the next thing, settling onto this one point the way a bird settles onto a branch at the end of a long flight and simply closes its wings. You can stay there if you like, or let it drift. Either way is fine. Your breathing is slowing. Your thoughts, if you are having them, are quieter than they were 60 seconds ago, and the distance between this voice and the place where sleep lives is shrinking. It is already very small. In a few moments, this voice is going to take you somewhere. But before the journey begins, there is something worth knowing, something that will make the destination more real, more present, more yours when you arrive. The Great Wall of China is not one wall. Most people do not know this. The name suggests a single continuous structure, a single act of building, a single intention made permanent in stone, but the truth is far stranger and far more beautiful. What we call the Great Wall is a system of walls, barriers, fortifications, and signal towers built across more than 2,000 years by at least 7 different dynasties. The earliest sections were constructed during the Warring States period in the 4th century before the Common Era. The most recent substantial sections were completed in the 1500s. Between those 2 points, 1,500 years of intermittent building by rulers whose names are now mostly forgotten across a frontier that kept shifting as empires expanded and contracted and dissolved. The section you're traveling to tonight is the Mutianyu section. It sits in the Yanshan mountain range, deep in the mountains northeast of Beijing, where the ridgeline rises high enough that the air thins and the stars come close. The name Mutianyu translates, roughly, as Eye of the Heavenly Field. Someone, centuries ago, looked at this particular curve of the mountain ridge and saw in it the shape of an eye looking upward into the sky. And they were not wrong. The existing structure at Mutianyu was substantially built and reinforced in 1569, under the supervision of a Ming Dynasty general named Qi Jiguang, whose care and attention is felt in every stone of this section of wall. He was a man who understood that a fortification is only as permanent as the care of the people who built it, and so he was exceptionally, almost obsessively careful. The wall here is tall enough to disappear against the sky, and wide enough for 5 horses to walk side by side. It is not a narrow path, it is a road built on top of a mountain, made of stone, made to last, and it has lasted. while almost everything else built in the same century has long since returned to the earth it came from. Your eyes are closed, your body is heavy and warm and completely supported. The breath is moving slowly and automatically through you, in and out, the most fundamental rhythm of a living body, the rhythm that continues even in the deepest sleep. And there is something worth knowing about what happens next, though it may already be happening. There is a moment in the transition between waking and sleeping, a moment most people never notice because it is too subtle, too brief, too easy to miss in the ordinary business of a tired mind when the body and the mind reach a kind of agreement. The body says, "I am done," and the mind, for once, instead of arguing, simply nods. That moment is already approaching for you. You can feel it, perhaps, as a slight softening of the edges of things. The room, if you're aware of it, seems slightly further away than it was. The sounds in it, if any, seem less distinct. The thoughts, if there are thoughts, have lost some of their insistence. They are still present, but they are no longer loud. This is the threshold you are standing at it, and the only thing between where you are now and deep, complete natural sleep is the permission to step across. You have that permission. You have always had it. And now, with your body at rest, and the breath moving slowly, and the mind already beginning to soften at the edges, let this voice carry you the rest of the way. Let the mountains begin. You are in northern China, the Yanshan Range. The hour is close to midnight. The air temperature at this elevation in late autumn is cool enough to see the faintest trace of your breath, clean, carrying the very faint resin scent of the pine forest that covers the slopes far below. There are no other people here, no traffic, no city sound, only the mountain and the sky, and the slow, deep silence of a high place in the middle of a clear autumn night. And above you, as you stand on the path of pale gray stone that leads to the gate of the wall, the stars. At this elevation, away from any city light, the autumn sky is so dense with them that the eye does not know where to begin. The Milky Way crosses overhead in a broad, soft river of light, millions of stars too distant to resolve individually, all of them blurring together into something that looks less like individual points and more like light itself, laid gently across the dark. Perhaps one star catches your attention, a bright one above and slightly to the left or right. It does not matter which, a point of still, ancient light. Your awareness rests on it, not straining, not looking for anything, simply resting there the way it rested a moment ago on the sensation of your breath, softly, without grip. And as your awareness rests on that single point of light, 10. Your eyes are soft on the star. Your body is heavy below 10. 9. The star is very still. It has been still for billions of years. Your eyelids are growing heavier. 9. 8. Your body sinking, your breath slowing. The star patient and unwavering above 8. 7. Something loosening in the back of the mind. Some last grip of the day releasing its fingers one by one. 7. 6. The star is still there. You are here. And the distance between here and sleep is very small now. Very small. 6. 5. Halfway. Your thoughts are thin and slow. The star is bright and still. Your body has given itself entirely to what is beneath it. 5. 4. The eyelids heavy as stone, the breath so slow, the star unchanged as it was before you were born, as it will be when no one is here to see it. 4. 3. The world is quiet. You are quiet. Everything is settling into a deep, dark, ancient stillness. 3, 2, almost. You are almost there. The body knows, the breath knows. Only the last thread of waking remains, and it is already thinning, fraying at the edges, giving way. 2, 1. And the gate in the pale wall ahead of you swings open, slowly in the mountain night, as naturally as an exhale. And you drift through. You are standing on the wall. And the first thing you notice, before the history, before the scale, before any of the facts that will settle into you tonight like stones settling into still water, is the width of it. The walkway beneath your feet is wide, genuinely, surprisingly, almost disorienting wide. Wide enough for 5 horses to ride side by side at a canter without any of them touching the parapet walls on either edge. This was not an accident of engineering. This was a deliberate choice, because the wall was not only a barrier, it was a road. The longest military highway ever constructed. Supplies, soldiers, horses, artillery pieces on wheeled carriages, all of it could move along the top of the wall, entirely sheltered from the territory below, at a speed no ground-level mountain road could match. You stand on that road now, the pale gray stone beneath your feet, worn smooth in the center from the passage of boots and hooves and the slow grinding of centuries. The air is cool against your face. The moon is high, and the wall glows softly in its light, as though the stone has been storing this particular silver-white luminescence all day and is releasing it now gently into the dark. Your body is heavy and warm. Your breath is slow. You are already somewhere between waking and dreaming, and the wall is receiving you into itself the way it receives everything, completely, without conditions, without the need for anything in return. Take one slow breath in. Feel the mountain air fill your lungs, cool, clean, carrying the very faint mineral quality of high-altitude stone and the distant ghost of pine resin from the forest far below. Hold it for just one natural moment and release. The stone beneath your hands is worth your attention. Reach out if you like, and let your fingers rest on the top of the inner parapet wall that runs along your right side as you face north. The surface is cool, slightly rough at the very top, where the elements have worked at it across 6 centuries of seasons. But run your fingers down the face of it, and the texture changes. The brick here is smoother, protected from the worst of the weather by its position. You can feel the slight raised edges of the mortar joints between each course, those thin lines of material that have been holding this wall together since the 1500s. That mortar is one of the quiet miracles of this place, and it is worth knowing about. In most of the world's great historical constructions, the mortar between the stones or bricks is the first thing to fail. Ordinary lime mortar is strong but brittle. It cracks under thermal expansion and contraction. It is vulnerable to moisture. Over centuries, it loosens, it crumbles. The stones it was meant to hold eventually begin to shift, and the structure begins slowly to unmake itself. The builders of the Ming Wall did something different. They cooked rice. Glutinous rice, the dense, sticky variety used in certain ceremonial foods across Chinese culture for thousands of years. They boiled it down to a thick, starchy paste, and then they mixed that paste with lime, and the result was a mortar so strong it has outlasted everything built around it. Something in the rice, a special ingredient in the sticky grain, bonded with the lime as it cured, creating something stronger than either alone. The result was a material that is, in some measurable ways, stronger than modern cement. You are pressing your fingers against that mortar right now, 600 years old, as solid as the day it was placed. There is something quietly extraordinary about that. The wall has endured because of rice, because someone understood that the most extraordinary results sometimes come from combining the most ordinary things in exactly the right way, with exactly the right care, at exactly the right moment. Your breath moves in, slowly, and out. You begin to walk northward along the wall. Your pace is easy, unhurried. The slight unevenness of the walkway surface keeps your attention gently present. You can feel it through your feet, the faint variations in the surface of the stone where one flagstone meets the next, where centuries of freeze and thaw have shifted the joints by the smallest fractions. The crenellations run along the outer parapet to your left. These are the tooth-shaped merlons and the rectangular openings between them, the battlements that give the wall its characteristic silhouette against every sky. Up close, each merlon is tall enough to shelter behind and wide enough to lean against. The openings between them, the crenels, are slightly wider, large enough for a standing soldier to have fired a crossbow through with room to track a moving target. But the design of the crenellations at Mutianyu is different from most sections of the wall. Under the general's supervision in the 1560s, the outer crenellations were built with a slight inward lean at the top, a subtle angle. That means rainwater and snowmelt drain away from the wall face rather than pooling at the base where they would eventually erode the mortar. It is a small refinement. It took perhaps an additional few hours of work per section, and it is part of why this section has survived so much better than others. That kind of care is everywhere here if you know to look for it. But you do not need to look. You only need to walk slowly, breathing in the cool mountain air, letting your feet find their pace on the ancient stone. And as you walk, something begins to happen with your breathing. Look at the crenellations as you pass them left side. The merlons rising at steady intervals, rising, and then the gap, and then rising again. A slow, steady rhythm. Not mechanical, not perfectly uniform. Each merlon slightly different in its exact dimensions, because each one was cut by a different pair of hands, but regular enough that the eye and the body begin to find a rhythm in them. Perhaps without intending to, your breath begins to synchronize with what you are seeing. Inhale, as your gaze travels up the face of a merlon. And exhale, as the gap opens and the view beyond spills through, the dark forest far below, the mist in the lowest valleys, the mountains folding away into the distance in layers of deepening indigo. Inhale, rise, exhale, open, rise, open, rise, open. The wall has been making this rhythm for 600 years. Your breath is only borrowing it for tonight. Each time you exhale, your shoulders release just slightly more. Each time the gap opens and the vast dark view comes through, your mind opens with it just slightly more. Some last residual tension in the chest, some last held thing from the day that did not fully release earlier, finding the gap now and moving through it and dissolving into the cool mountain air. Rise, open, release to your right as you walk. The inner face of the wall drops away to the southern slope. The inner parapet here is lower than the outer one. This too was deliberate. The general specified that the inner parapet should stand at shoulder height for a standing soldier, enough to lean against, enough to protect against a fall, but not so high as to obstruct the view back toward the interior of the empire. A soldier on watch needed to see in all directions. The threat could come from anywhere. The threat has not come for 300 years. The inner parapet stands at shoulder height and sees nothing but the quiet mountain, the pine trees on the southern slope, the occasional pale shape of a village far below, its lights long since dark at this hour, the black silk of the sky above the southern ridge. You rest a hand on the inner parapet as you walk. The stone is slightly warmer here than the outer wall. It faces south and catches more of the daily sunlight. Even at midnight, a trace of that warmth lingers. Your palm against warm stone, the slow rhythm of your walking, the breath moving in and out in time with the rising and falling of the merlins. The body is very heavy now. The legs are moving, but they are doing so without effort, without awareness, almost as if the wall itself is very slowly carrying you forward, one foot placed after the other on the pale, worn stone, the mountain holding everything from below. Let me tell you about the bricks. Each brick in the Mutianyu wall was manufactured locally, in kilns built into the southern hillside below the construction site. The clay was dug from the mountain itself, shaped to careful specifications and fired at high temperature for several days. The resulting bricks were dense, hard, and remarkably uniform. But what made these bricks different from ordinary building materials was the name pressed into each one before firing. Every batch of bricks carried a stamped inscription, the name of the supervising official, the name of the military unit, sometimes even the individual worker's name. These stamps were pressed into the soft clay before firing and became permanent in the hardened brick. Every name carried a promise, and the people whose names were on the bricks made sure that the bricks were worth their names. The result of this accountability is visible in the wall you are walking on right now. These bricks have been subjected to 6 centuries of mountain weather, and they are, with remarkably few exceptions, intact. The mortar has held. The courses are level. The facing has not slumped. Someone's name was on every brick, and that was enough. You run your hand along the surface of the inner parapet as you walk, brick by brick, each one slightly rough, each one carrying in the very texture of its surface the compressed memory of the hands that made it. 600 years still here. Your breath is very slow. Your eyes are soft. The rhythm of the wall, rise and open, has moved from something you are watching to something you are simply inside of. The boundary between the rhythm of the crenellations and the rhythm of your own breath has dissolved, the way all boundaries dissolve in the quiet of a long night on an old mountain. The wall breathes, and you breathe with it. And the difference between the two is becoming very difficult to find. The walkway climbs slightly ahead, the ridgeline rising and the wall climbing faithfully with it, following the shape of the earth the way water follows a channel, not fighting the terrain, not imposing itself, only tracing what was already there in stone across the mountain spine. In the distance, perhaps a few minutes' walk ahead and slightly higher on the ridge, the dark square shape of the first watchtower rises against the sky. Its lower window faces you, and in it, barely visible at this distance but present, a faint amber light. You do not need to hurry toward it. You are already exactly where you need to be. Walking slowly, breathing, carried by the wall, by the mountain, by the ancient, unhurried dark. The watchtower grows as you approach it. What seemed compact from the walkway, a square shape against the stars, a warm light in one window, reveals itself as something considerably more substantial the closer you get. The walls are thick, not the ordinary thickness of a building wall, several feet of solid brick on every face, tapering to nothing at the corners where the stonework is reinforced with interlocking courses that bind the 4 walls into a single structural unit. The corners of this tower have not moved in 600 years. They will not move tonight. The tower rises well above the walkway, high enough that from its signal platform at the very top, a soldier stationed here in the 1500s would have been standing at nearly the highest point of this range, with an unobstructed view of the mountain landscape in every direction for as far as the eye could reach on a clear day. Tonight, the view from that platform would be the entire Yanshan range laid out in moonlight, ridge after ridge of dark mountains, each one a slightly different shade of blue-gray, receding into a horizon where the land and the sky become indistinguishable from each other, a landscape so vast and so still that the mind confronted with it does the only sensible thing. It stops. Not in alarm, not in confusion. The mind stops the way a clock stops when no one is winding it, gently, gradually, coming to rest in the middle of a tick. You can feel that stopping beginning now, perhaps. The thoughts that were present a moment ago, they are still there, but they are quieter, less insistent. They have noticed the scale of what surrounds them and have for once decided not to compete with it. They can be as quiet as they like. What comes next asks nothing of the thinking mind at all. You stand at the base of the tower. An arched doorway opens in the face of the wall before you. The arch is not decorative, it is structural. The curved form distributes the weight of the masonry above it, outward and downward into the supporting walls on either side, allowing a wide opening without compromising the structure. The Romans understood this. The Chinese understood this independently. Every civilization that has built in stone has arrived at the arch eventually, because the arch is not an invention, it is a discovery. A property of weight and geometry that exists, whether anyone knows about it or not. The keystone at the top of this arch has not shifted since it was placed. 600 years of winters, of the stone expanding in summer heat and contracting in winter cold, of the mountain shifting almost imperceptibly beneath everything, and the arch has held. You place your hand on the keystone as you pass beneath it. It is cool under your palm, completely, absolutely solid, and something in that solidness moves through your hand and up through your arm and settles somewhere in the center of your chest as a feeling that is difficult to name but immediately recognized. Safety, complete and ancient and entirely unconditional. You step through. Inside, the air changes immediately. The temperature drops a few degrees, not a dramatic cold, but a perceptible difference, the particular coolness of enclosed stone that holds itself at a steady average of all the seasons that have passed through it, unaffected by the daily swing of heat and cold that governs the open wall. This is the temperature of something that has been the same for a very long time, something that does not participate in the urgency of ordinary weather. The chamber is a few paces across in each direction. The walls on all four sides are plain brick, no plaster, no whitewash, no decoration. The brick is the finish, each course laid with the same precision visible on the outside of the tower, the same mortar, the same stamps, where you can see them in the low light, pressed into the faces of some of the bricks nearest the doorway. A soldier's name, a unit designation, a maker's mark. All of it permanent and all of it present and all of it belonging to someone who has been gone for centuries. Two narrow window openings on opposite walls admit the only light into this space. Not windows in the modern sense, no glass, no frame, only rectangular cuts through the full thickness of the wall, narrow and tall. Through them, two thin bars of moonlight fall diagonally across the stone floor, making pale silver shapes that have been crossing this floor in this same slow arc every clear night for 600 years. No one here to see them on most of those nights, only the moonlight doing what moonlight does, falling, crossing, fading with the dawn, rising again the next night. Above you, the ceiling is a barrel vault, a continuous curved arch of brick running the full width of the chamber. The geometry of it, each brick cut to fit the curve precisely, the whole thing requiring no mortar at all to stay up if the dimensions are accurate. The compression of the arch doing all the structural work is one of the understated marvels of this space. It looks simple. It is not simple. It is the result of a level of geometric understanding that most of the world's builders in the 1500s did not possess. The general's engineers possessed it. Every tower along this section of wall has the same barrel vault, the same proportions, the same curve, standardized across the full length of this mountain wall, because the general understood that a military fortification is only as effective as its most vulnerable point, and he was not willing to have vulnerable points. Stand in the center of this chamber for a moment. Let the space settle around you. There is a quality of quiet here that is worth distinguishing from other quiets you have experienced tonight. On the open walkway, the quiet was vast and sky-filled, the immense implied silence of a large landscape at night. In the first section of the wall, walking, the quiet was rhythmic, the breath-matching rhythm of the crenellations, the slow pattern of rise and fall. This quiet is different. This is the quiet of deep enclosure, of thick brick on every side, muffling the wind to a barely audible hum somewhere high above, of a barrel vault overhead that catches the silence and holds it the way a bowl holds water, of a space that has been doing nothing but being quiet for several hundred years and has become, over that time, extraordinarily good at it. This is perhaps the most soothing quality of very old enclosed spaces. They have been practicing stillness for longer than you have been alive, and being inside them is a kind of permission, a reminder that stillness is not something you have to create. It is something you can simply enter. You have entered it, and it is already working on you. You can feel it. The particular slowing of the breath that happens when the body is given no stimulation to respond to, the loosening of the jaw, the dropping of the shoulder, the faint heaviness in the eyelids that is not tiredness exactly, but something more fundamental, the body's recognition that the conditions for deep rest have been met, and that there is nothing standing between this moment and sleep except the last few threads of habitual wakefulness. Those threads are thinning now. There are 2 floors to this watchtower. You are standing on the ground floor, the lower level, where supplies were stored and soldiers rested between watches. The floor above, accessible by a narrow stone staircase in the far corner, held the main watchroom and the signal platform above it, open to the sky and the full sweep of the mountain horizon. The signal system operated from these platforms was among the most sophisticated communication networks of the pre-modern world. If soldiers on patrol spotted forces approaching from the north, the nearest tower immediately lit a fire using pre-positioned beacon materials, a specific mixture that produced a thick, dark smoke, visible for extraordinary distances during daylight, and a bright flame equally far at night. Each tower in the chain, seeing the signal, passed it onward. A conversation of flame leaping from peak to peak, faster than any horse could carry a rider across the mountain passes. From the frontier to the capital, information could travel in a matter of hours across hundreds of kilometers of mountain ridgeline. This was the fastest long-distance communication in the world, and it ran on firelight and observation, and the trained vigilance of thousands of young men standing watch through the mountain night. Tonight, those platforms are dark. The beacon materials have been gone for 300 years. The watchrooms above are open to the stars and empty of everything except the mineral smell of old stone and the cool, still air of the autumn mountain. No fire will be lit tonight. No signal will travel. The chain of towers is simply standing, patient, doing what it has been doing since the last garrison walked away. Resting along the far wall, beneath the left-hand window opening and its bar of pale moonlight, runs the sleeping platform. You have been moving toward this moment since you first stepped through the gate in the south. Every step on the walkway, every breath borrowed from the rhythm of the crenellations, every slow deepening of the night's quiet, all of it has been bringing you here. The platform is a raised section of the floor, built of the same fired brick as the walls, slightly elevated above the ground level. It runs the full width of the chamber, wide enough for 3 soldiers to sleep side by side with room between them. The surface is worn, not rough-worn, but smooth-worn, the particular smoothness that comes from the repeated compression of weight over time. The surface of this brick has been gradually compacted by the bodies that have lain on it across 2 centuries of garrison use. You are about to lie on the most patient surface in the world. You walk to the platform, you sit on its edge. The brick receives your weight without any adjustment, without any response. It simply is completely solidly, without any interest in how much you weigh or what you have been carrying or how long the day was. You place both hands flat on the surface beside you. The brick is cool under your palms, slightly cooler than your hand, and immediately without any instruction, the warmth of your hands begins moving into the brick, and the coolness of the brick begins moving into your hands, and the two are already finding their balance. Now, slowly, without hurry, you lie back. Your back meets the brick, and everything changes. The change is immediate and total and requires nothing from you. The surface is beneath you and it is holding you, and the only appropriate response to being completely held is to completely release. And so the long muscles along your spine, the ones that run in 2 columns on either side of the backbone, working without rest since the moment you got out of bed this morning, they release not gradually. Now, the spine settles into the surface, not flattened, not forced, settled, the natural curve of the lower back resting at whatever its natural resting angle is. Your hips are heavy, a warm, dense, downward heaviness spreading outward from the center of the pelvis. The deep muscles of your hips, those often held muscles that carry the compression of sitting and standing and moving through every day, releasing now, softening, lengthening slightly. The legs, freed from that held tension, grow long and heavy and completely still along the platform. The backs of your heels press gently into the brick, and then even that small pressure releases. Your feet fall open, your legs fall outward slightly at the hips, the body finding its natural resting geometry, the geometry it defaults to when no effort is required to maintain any particular position. This is the body at rest. This is the shape of a human being who has given themselves entirely to what is beneath them. Your arms lie at your sides. The backs of your hands rest against the cool brick. Your fingers are softly curled, not grasping anything, not releasing anything, simply present in their own natural shape. Your chest rises and falls, slowly, each exhale slightly longer than the inhale. The body has shifted into its sleeping respiratory pattern without being asked. It knows, it has always known. It only needed permission and a surface solid enough to surrender to. Your shoulders have spread wide against the platform. The broad muscles of your upper back, the ones that run from the base of the skull across to the shoulders, they are releasing now in a long, gradual softening that moves outward from the spine like a tide going out. The tension that lives there from the day's accumulated effort of holding and carrying and bracing, it is not fighting. It is simply dissolving into the brick, into the cool, patient, ancient surface that has held everything placed on it and asked nothing in return. Your neck is long, your jaw is unclenched, your tongue rests soft and heavy in the floor of your mouth. The tiny muscles around your eyes, the ones that hold an expression through the long hours of a waking day, they are smooth now, completely smooth. Your eyelids are closed, and they are staying closed, and they are heavy in a way that is entirely comfortable, entirely natural, entirely right. The barrel vault above you curves in the thin light from the window openings, each brick of it exactly placed, the geometry of it perfect 600 years, and it has not moved by a single millimeter. Above the vault, the watchroom. Above the watchroom, the signal platform, open to the sky. Above the platform, the full depth of the autumn night, and the stars, and the Milky Way turning very slowly in its enormous patient arc across the darkness. Below the platform you are lying on, the brick of the wall below the wall, the mountain, below the mountain, the deep rock of the earth itself. Everything above you, everything below you, everything around you. And you, at the center of all of it, held. Completely, without condition, without end. Your breath is moving very slowly now, in and out, each cycle a little longer, a little slower, a little more complete than the last. The body is doing this by itself. You are not breathing, you are being breathed. The air is moving through you the way the night wind moves through the crenellations of the outer wall, a natural passage that the body permits and does not direct. The chamber is quiet. The moonlight bars on the floor have shifted slightly since you entered. Time is passing slowly, the way time passes when there is nothing pressing against it from either side. You are very heavy. You are very still. You are exactly where you were always going tonight. After some time on the platform, you are not sure how long, and this is the first sign that something has shifted. In ordinary life, the body has a reliable clock. You always know, more or less, whether 5 minutes have passed or 20. There is a background awareness of time that runs continuously beneath every other awareness, counting without being asked to count, tracking the passage of the day with a precision that serves the practical demands of a life that needs to be somewhere, do something, arrive on time. That clock has stopped, not broken, not lost, simply paused, the way it pauses in deep sleep, the way it paused when you were a child absorbed in something completely, and hours dissolved into what felt like moments, and you looked up and the light had changed, and the day had moved on without you noticing. You are in that place now, the place where duration ceases to be something you monitor and becomes something that simply passes through you, the way the night air passes through the crenellations of the wall above, without your involvement, without your permission being required. You rise from the platform. Your hands press flat against the brick for a moment. The brick is slightly warmer than when you lay down. Your body has been giving its heat to the stone, and the stone has accepted it, an exchange so slow you could not have felt it happening. Only the result now, this fractional warmth under your palms, this evidence of time having passed in a place where you were not tracking time. You stand. Your legs are heavy in a way that is entirely comfortable, not the heavy of effort or exhaustion, the heavy of completion, the weight of a body that has given something up and feels lighter for the giving, even as it grows heavier with rest. You move to the arched doorway and step back out onto the walkway. The cool mountain air meets you. After the enclosed stillness of the chamber, the openness of the sky above the walkway feels like something you had forgotten was possible, not vast in a way that is alarming, vast in the way of a good deep breath after a long time in a small room, a natural, comfortable, welcome expansion. The moon has moved, not dramatically, only the width of 2 or 3 fingers held at arm's length against the sky, but it has moved. The night has been passing while you were inside, while you were lying on the stone platform in the quiet chamber, while time was not being tracked. And the evidence of that passing is there in the sky, in the slightly different angle of the moonlight on the walkway, in the faint new chill in the air that comes with the deeper hours of the night. Something in you receives this information and relaxes with it. The night has been passing, time has been moving, and none of it required your supervision. It never does. The night does not need you awake to continue. The stars do not require your observation to keep their positions. The wall has been standing in these mountains for 600 years with no maintenance of human attention. Everything you have been monitoring and managing and keeping alive with your wakefulness, it will all continue exactly as it should while you sleep. It has always been doing exactly that. You begin to walk. The direction is northward, deeper along the wall, following the ridgeline as it climbs and curves and descends with the mountain beneath it. Your pace is different from what it was when you first stepped onto the wall. Earlier you were arriving. You were taking in the width of the walkway, the texture of the stone, the vast dark view over the parapet. Now you are simply walking, moving through a place you have already begun to know. And there is an ease in that, a settled familiarity that is its own kind of deepening. Your feet know the surface now, the slight unevenness of the worn center, the fractional rise and fall of each flagstone, the way certain sections of the walkway are slightly smoother where the traffic of centuries has been heaviest. Your feet are navigating all of this without any input from your thinking mind. Your thinking mind is not needed here. What is your thinking mind doing, if you notice it? It is quieter than usual. The thoughts that come are slower, less urgent. They arrive, are noticed, and move on without catching, like smoke rising from a chimney and dispersing into a wide sky, each one less substantial than the one before. And between one thought and the next, a gap, a quiet gap, and that gap is slightly wider than it was an hour ago, and slightly wider than it was 30 minutes ago, and the trend of the gaps is clear. They are growing, and eventually they will grow wide enough that a thought simply won't arrive before the previous one has fully dissolved. And in that space, which is not empty but full of the cool mountain air and the slow rhythm of your walking and the immense, patient, ancient quiet of the wall, sleep is already waiting. Not coming, not approaching from a distance, already there. Already present in the gap, as it has always been present in the gap, if the gap is allowed to be wide enough. Your breath is very slow. Your arms hang soft at your sides, one foot, then the next. The wall goes on. Here is something that most visitors to this wall will never know. The wall outlived the empire that built it. The Ming Dynasty, which raised this section of the wall with such extraordinary care, came to an end in the middle of the 17th century. Empires, no matter how vast, have a way of fading. Power shifts, borders dissolve. The things that seemed permanent turn out to have been held together by nothing more than the conviction of the people who believed in them. When that conviction wavered, the dynasty ended, and a new one rose from the north. The new rulers were Manchu. They came from the land beyond the wall. The northern steppe, the great grasslands, the territory the wall had been built to defend against, that was their homeland. They had no enemies in the north. They were the north. And so the vast garrison system of the Ming Wall was no longer needed. The orders went out, not all at once, quietly, tower by tower, section by section, across the course of a generation, the garrisons were stood down. The soldiers were given their discharge. They packed their sleeping blankets and their eating bowls and the small personal objects that had accumulated through their months of mountain service, a carved piece of wood, a letter from home, a coin from a market in a city they would return to, and they descended the mountain. The last soldiers walked down the southern slope of the Yanshan Range sometime in the latter half of the 17th century. The exact date is not recorded. There was no ceremony. There was no formal closing of the gates, no official acknowledgement that this thing that had been maintained for centuries was now unmaintained. They simply left, and the wall, which had never been capable of noticing, simply stood. 300 years. Hold that in the mind for a moment. 300 years of this walkway standing empty. Snow fell on it the first winter and lay undisturbed until spring. No shovel cleared it, no boot crossed it. The snow fell and lay and melted in its own time, and the meltwater ran off the walkway through the crenellation gaps and down the outer face, and the wall absorbed all of it without complaint. Summer brought heat and the expansion of the stone and the slow movement of thermal cycling that all stonework undergoes. Autumn brought rain and the patient work of water finding its way into any crack it could locate. Winter brought the freeze and the expansion of ice in those cracks and the almost imperceptible widening of them by the smallest fractions. And yet, the rice mortar held, the brick stamps had done their work. The barrel vaults continued their 600-year demonstration of what it means to build something with enough precision and enough care that it can maintain itself without human attention indefinitely. The forest crept upward on the lower sections where the rammed earth had been used instead of fired brick. Trees grew through the facing where it had already been crumbling. Birds nested in the crenellation openings. Grass colonized the joints. The mountain was doing what mountains always do when given enough time and not enough interference. Slowly, methodically, patiently reclaiming what had been taken from it. But here, at Mutianyu, where the rice mortar had been mixed with such extraordinary care, where every brick had carried someone's name and someone's reputation, the wall simply waited. Not in any state of expectation, not longing for anything, not declining, not struggling, not in any distress, simply standing in the mountains, in the weather, in the centuries, resting. And this is the central fact of the Great Wall of China that no one tells you. The wall spent more of its total existence resting than it ever spent in active use. The Ming garrison period, which represents the most intensive period of occupation in the wall's history, lasted approximately 250 years, from the founding of the Ming Dynasty in 1368 to the abandonment in the mid-1600s. 250 years of soldiers, signal fires, supply chains, maintenance, continuous human presence, followed by 300 years of silence. 300 years of snow and sun and rain, and the slow chemistry of stone and mortar finding its long equilibrium with the mountain air. 300 years in which the wall learned, if walls can be said to learn anything, what it was like to simply be, without purpose, without occupation, without the need to be anything other than stone on a mountain in the weather. The wall discovered rest, and it was very good at it. It practiced for 3 centuries, and it shows. You are walking on the world's most experienced rester. And perhaps that is worth something to a body that has forgotten how. The walkway climbs ahead of you, following the ridgeline northward. Your pace is slow. the kind of slow that has moved past deliberate and into effortless. Your legs are doing what legs do when the walking mind has let go of the walking entirely. A rhythm without thought, a motion that has become indistinguishable from stillness. To your left, through the crenellation gaps, the view changes with each step. The dark forest, the pale mist in the valleys, the mountains folding away into the distance in their layers of indigo and slate. Each gap, a slightly different frame of the same enormous landscape, a slow, barely perceptible slideshow of night and mountain and sky. To your right, the inner parapet, lower, warmer on its south-facing surface even at this hour. The solid companionship of stone that has been here longer than any living thing in these mountains, and will be here long after every tree on the slope below has fallen and regrown a dozen times. Above you, the Milky Way. You may not have looked up for some time, and if you tip your head back now, very gently, the full depth of the autumn sky opens above the walkway, framed by the crenellations on either side like a river of darkness flowing between two pale stone banks. The Milky Way is overhead, a broad, dense band of light, not the thin streak it appears from most places on Earth, but something wider, deeper, more present. The combined light of countless stars, most of them too distant to resolve individually, all of them contributing their small portion to this soft, luminous presence that crosses the sky from horizon to horizon. The ancient Chinese astronomers had a name for it. They called it Tian-He, the Silver River, or sometimes the River of Heaven. They saw in it a celestial equivalent of the great rivers of the earthly landscape, a river flowing across the sky, carrying the light of countless stars the way an earthly river carries silt and memory and the accumulated drainage of an entire watershed. The soldiers who kept watch on this wall saw this same river crossing the same sky above these same mountains every clear night of their rotations for 250 years of the Ming garrison period. Some of them would have known its name and its mythology. Many of them would simply have looked up as you are looking up now, and let the scale of it do what the scale of it always does to a human mind that genuinely receives it. The mind goes quiet, not because there is nothing to think, but because in the presence of something that vast and that still and that indifferent to the categories and concerns that normally occupy a thinking mind, those categories and concerns simply stop applying. They become, for a moment, clearly optional, clearly a choice, and in that moment of clarity, the mind makes the only sensible choice available to it. It rests. Your thoughts are very thin now, nearly transparent. They pass through without leaving a mark. The gap between them has grown so wide that you have stopped noticing the thoughts and begun to notice only the gaps, and the gaps are not empty. They are full of the cool mountain air and the distant sound of the wind and the silver dark of the sky above and the soft rhythmic movement of your walking on the ancient worn stone. The wall is breathing around you, the slow, vast breath of something that has been resting for 3 centuries and has become profoundly, immovably good at it. Each crenellation gap you pass, each opening in the parapet through which the night comes through is a breath, in, out, in, out. And your breath has synchronized with it, completely, not as a technique, not as something you're doing, simply as a consequence of being inside this rhythm long enough that your own body has adopted it, the way a smaller instrument adopts the tuning of a larger one when they are long enough in the same room. You are breathing at the pace of the wall. The wall has been breathing this way for 600 years. And somewhere ahead, around the next curve of the mountain, the 7th tower is visible, its lower window glowing with that small, steady amber warmth. A lamp, a table, a cup, and a woman who has been expecting you. Your feet know the way, they are already moving toward her. Slowly, without hurry, without any awareness of the distance between where you are and where you're going. Only the walking, only the breath, only the wall beneath your feet and the stars above your head, and the 300 years of rest that surround you on every side. Going on and on and on. The amber light in the 7th tower window is closer now. You have been walking toward it for some time without tracking the distance. That is the quality of this kind of walking, the kind where the destination is not a goal but only a direction, a gentle pull rather than a requirement. You have not been trying to reach the light. You have only been moving in its general direction, and the distance has been closing on its own, the way things in dreams close, without the usual arithmetic of effort and progress. Now it is close enough that you can see the shape of the light changing slightly as something moves inside the tower, not dramatically, only the way a lamp flame bends when a body passes through the same air it is burning in, a slight, living variation in an otherwise steady light. Something in there is breathing. You slow to a stop outside the arched doorway. The interior resolves itself as your eyes adjust. A plain stone chamber, smaller than the one where you lay on the platform earlier, a low wooden table near the far wall. On it, a small clay lamp, the kind that burns sesame oil in a shallow dish with a wick of twisted cotton. The flame is barely an inch high. It gives less light than it gives warmth. Everything in its radius looks close and amber and safe. And seated beside the table, on a low wooden stool, hands wrapped around a dark ceramic cup, is an old woman. She is entirely at rest, not asleep, present, but present in a way that requires nothing. Her eyes are open, and they are resting on the narrow window opening in the far wall, through which a thin slice of the mountain landscape is visible, dark ridgelines and pale sky, and the suggestion of the forest far below. She is not looking at it the way a person looks at something they are seeing. She is looking at it the way a person looks at something they have seen so many thousands of times, that the looking has become a form of rest in itself. Her white hair is loosely gathered. A few strands have escaped and rest against her cheek. Her hands around the cup are the hands of someone who has spent a great deal of time outdoors and at physical work, the knuckles slightly enlarged, the skin between them thin and mapped with lines, but the grip around the cup is easy, not tight, only present, a comfortable, habitual enclosure of warmth. She does not startle when she becomes aware of you in the doorway. She turns her head with the unhurried ease of someone who was expecting you and finds nothing surprising about your arrival, and then she nods, a single, slow, complete nod, the kind that contains everything a long greeting would take many words to express. You are expected. You are welcome. Come in and sit. On the table beside the lamp, a second ceramic cup is waiting. Steam rises from it in slow, unhurried spirals that curl upward into the lamplight and disappear. You cross the chamber floor, 3 steps, 4. Your footsteps are quiet on the stone. You reach the table and lift the cup. The ceramic is warm in both hands, not hot, warm in the way of something that has been sitting at exactly the right temperature for exactly the right amount of time. Your fingers close around it, and the warmth moves immediately through your palms and into the webbing between your fingers, and up through the backs of your hands into your wrists. You breathe in the steam. The scent reaches you before the taste does, and it is not what you might expect from tea. It is not the bright green freshness of young tea, Not the floral lightness of a white tea, not the familiar warmth of a black tea steeped in a cup. This is something older, deeper, darker, in a way that has nothing to do with bitterness and everything to do with time. This is Pur tea is produced in the Yunnan province of southwestern China and has been traded and prized for well over 1,000 years. The tea plants that produce the finest pur are not bushes, as most cultivated tea plants are, but trees, ancient trees. Some of the trees used for the finest pur are hundreds of years old, their root systems extending deep into the red soil of mountain slopes that have never been fertilized or irrigated or managed in any way. The leaves from these trees carry something that cannot be replicated in a cultivated bush, a mineral complexity, a depth of flavor, a slow developing quality that is the product of deep roots in old soil. After the leaves are harvested and processed into a base tea, the most remarkable thing happens. The tea is compressed into cakes, dense disc-shaped forms pressed under heavy stone molds and then stored for years, sometimes for decades, in conditions of controlled humidity and temperature that allow a slow fermentation to continue working on the compressed leaves. The cultures responsible for this fermentation are not added artificially. They are present in the environment, in the air of the storage rooms, in the tea itself. They have been present in Yunnan tea storage for centuries. Some have been working continuously in the same family storage rooms for 5 or 6 generations. The bitterness of young pur, the sharpness, the rough edges of the fresh compressed leaf softens over the years of fermentation. The sharp becomes round, the astringent becomes smooth. The bright green notes of fresh tea transform into something earthier, more mineral, more ancient. A 10-year pu'er tastes like a different substance from a 1-year pu'er. A 30-year pu'er tastes like something that has been slowly perfecting itself for 3 decades, which is exactly what it has been doing. The cup in your hands is from aged tea, perhaps 20 years old, perhaps more. The steam carries its history in the scent, the mineral earthiness of old Yunnan soil, the faint mustiness of the compression mold, a deep sweetness that is not sugar, but something more complex, the way old wood smells sweet without being sweet, the way a very old library smells sweet without a single sweet thing in it. You take a small sip. The warmth moves from your lips across your tongue and down the back of your throat in a slow, unhurried progression. Not a hot swallow, a warm one, a traveling warmth, moving at the pace of the tea itself, which is the pace of something that has been in no hurry for 20 years and sees no reason to start now. It reaches your chest, and something happens there that is purely physical and requires no interpretation. The chest, which carries tension in its very structure, in the muscles between the ribs, in the diaphragm slightly held by the ordinary weight of a long day, releases. Not dramatically, only the way a fist releases when the grip is no longer necessary. The rib cage broadens by a fraction, the sternum drops by a fraction. The breath that follows is very slightly deeper than the breath before it, because there is more room now for the breath to go. The warmth spreads downward through the abdomen, the stomach, that organ that holds so much of the body's accumulated tension without ever being acknowledged for doing so, softens. The deep abdominal warmth that follows is among the most immediately calming physical sensations available to a human body. Something primal in this warmth, something that predates language and reasoning and all the complexity of a modern mind. The body recognizes it as safety, as nourishment, as the end of the need to brace against anything. Your shoulders have dropped. Your hands are loose around the cup. The warmth has reached them too. working outward from the chest, through the shoulders and down the arms, and into the hands, meeting the external warmth of the ceramic from the outside, and the two warmths merging somewhere in the palms of your hands into something that is neither hot nor warm, but simply the temperature of not needing anything. The woman has not spoken. She has not looked at you with any expectation. She is looking at the window again, at the thin slice of mountain and sky visible through the narrow opening, and she is present with it in her own complete and unhurried way. There is a specific kind of company that is more restful than solitude. Solitude has its own completeness, but it carries a faint awareness of its own condition. You know you are alone, and that knowing is a small continuous background hum. The company of someone who requires nothing of you, who has no interest in your performance or your history or your plans, who is simply present alongside you without agenda, that company dissolves even the faint background hum of solitude. You are not alone, and you are not being observed, and the combination of those two things produces a quality of ease that is genuinely rare. You exist alongside her in this small amber-lit chamber inside 600 years of stone, and you breathe, and she breathes, and the lamp burns its tiny patient flame, and the steam from both cups rises and curls and disappears into the still air above the table. Time is not passing here, or rather time is passing in the way that time passes for the tea in the storage room. Slowly, continuously, without urgency, working its slow transformations in the dark. You take another sip. The warmth makes its familiar journey. You hold the cup between both hands and feel the ceramic and the warmth and the slight weight of it. A very small weight, but a real one, a present, physical, grounded weight. This cup in your hands, this stone under your feet, this lamp, this woman, this wall that has been standing on this mountain since before either of you were born and will be standing on this mountain after both of you are gone. The purred tea traveled to soldiers and officials on the ancient tea horse road, the network of trade routes connecting Yunnan's tea mountains with the high plateaus of Tibet and beyond. Horses from Tibet were traded for tea from Yunnan in a barter economy that sustained both regions for centuries. The compressed tea cakes were ideal for transport, dense, durable, stackable on the backs of pack horses and yaks, surviving the rain and altitude of the mountain passes without deterioration. Some cakes arrived at their destinations after months of travel, slightly the worse for the journey, but the fermentation quietly proceeding in the compressed leaves continued throughout the trip, and occasionally the tea that arrived was better than the tea that had left. The road passed not far from here. The goods that moved along it, tea, horses, salt, silk, medicinal herbs, worked metal. Some of those goods would have supplied the garrisons of this section of wall. The soldiers who lay on that sleeping platform in the tower behind you would have drunk tea from Yunnan, perhaps pure, perhaps from cakes pressed in the same mountains this cup in your hands came from. A line of continuity connecting you to them through the tea. You drink the last amount from the cup. The warmth settles into the center of you, where it has been gathering with each sip, and it stays there, not fading. It has reached the temperature of your body now, and it will remain with you, carried outward through you with every heartbeat. You set the cup down on the table. The ceramic makes the smallest sound against the wood, a quiet, final note. The woman hears it. She turns from the window. She looks at the cup and then at you, and she nods once more, the same complete, unhurried nod, and in it something that is not quite a smile but carries the warmth of one, a recognition. A small acknowledgement of something shared that did not require words and does not need them now. She rises from the stool. She lifts the small lamp from the table. The amber warmth lifts with it. Bobbing very slightly, then steadying as her hand steadies, she tucks the lamp close. She turns toward the low doorway at the back of the chamber. Her footsteps are nearly silent. The lamplight moves with her toward the back of the room. The shadows on the walls shift and deepen as the source of the warmth moves away. She passes through the doorway. The lamp she has left behind on the table burns on. She left it for you. It does not need to be told what to do. It only burns small and steady in the now darker chamber, casting its amber warmth on the table and the two empty cups and the stone walls in your hand. You sit with it for a while. The warmth of the tea is throughout you. Your body is heavy and slow and entirely at ease. The chamber is quiet in a way that has been amplified by her absence, not diminished by it. She has left her quality of stillness in the room, the way a stone leaves an impression in soft ground after it has been moved. Your breath is very slow. Your hands are open and resting on your knees. Your eyes are closed or closing, or halfway between the two states, which is a state that has its own quiet name. The state just before sleep, when the body has crossed the threshold but the awareness has not yet followed. When everything is ready and only the last thin thread of waking remains. You stand very slowly. You carry the warmth of the tea with you. You carry the amber residue of the lamp in your vision, the soft impressions it has left on the inside of your eyelids. You carry the memory of the woman's single nod, which contained everything necessary. You step back out onto the walkway. The cool night air is gentle on your face. The mountains are still. The stars are still. The wall stretches away in both directions, pale and patient and indifferent to the hour, in the way that only very old things can be indifferent to the hour. You are warm all the way through, and ahead of you, somewhere in the cool dark of the wall, a staircase descends. And below the staircase, a deeper chamber. And in that chamber, rest that goes all the way down. You walk on for a while. The tea is still working in you. That is the quality of aged purr that distinguishes it from lighter teas. It does not peak and fade. The warmth it produced in your chest and abdomen is not diminishing. It has settled into your body the way a stone settles into the bed of a slow river, not going anywhere, simply present at a depth that ordinary things do not reach. Your pace is very slow, the kind of slow that has moved past deliberate into something closer to dreaming while upright. Each step barely lifts from the stone before finding the stone again. The arms are not swinging. The hands are not doing anything. The whole body is in a state that could be described as motion, technically, but which feels from the inside almost indistinguishable from standing still, movement as a form of rest. The wall climbs ahead of you, the ridgeline rising and the wall climbing with it, faithful as a shadow, the pale stone walkway ascending in a gentle grade that your legs navigate without any conscious direction. The body knows what to do with a gradual incline. It has known since before you could walk. The stars above have moved slightly. The moon is lower now. The night is deepening into that particular quality of the hours between midnight and dawn, when the dark becomes most complete and most still. Not the dark of early evening, which carries the memory of the day, the dark of deep night, which has forgotten the day entirely and has no interest in what is coming, only this, only now, only the cool, complete, moonlit quiet of a mountain that has been doing this for millions of years. Ahead of you, where the ridgeline bends around the shoulder of the mountain, the wall widens slightly. A broader section of walkway opens up, and in the center of it, set flush with the surface of the stone, is a low opening. A doorway in the floor of the wall itself, a staircase descending. You see it from perhaps 20 paces away, and your pace slows further still. Not hesitation, only a natural deceleration, the body recognizing that what lies ahead requires a different quality of attention, not alertness. Something closer to its opposite, a deepening of the inward turn that has been gathering in you since you first stepped through the gate in the south. You reach the opening and stop. The staircase descends from the walkway level into the body of the wall itself. This is the lower chamber, the section of the wall's interior built into the mountain slope rather than above it. In the Ming construction method, the wall at certain points was not simply a wall, but a filled structure, a casing of fired brick surrounding a core of rammed earth and rubble stone, built directly onto the mountain's bedrock. The lower chambers cut into this filled section are not basements in the modern sense. They are rooms carved from the substance of the wall itself, rooms whose walls are the wall, whose ceiling is the walkway above, whose floor is bedrock. You are about to enter the mountain. A current of air rises from the staircase, cooler than the night above, stiller. The particular quality of air that has been enclosed in stone for a very long time and has taken on the temperature of what surrounds it. Not the variable temperature of the weather, but the deep, stable, permanent temperature of the earth itself. At this depth, in this mountain, that temperature is cool and constant, the same in summer as in winter, the same across all the seasons of all the centuries this wall has stood. The air that rises from below is the most still air you have ever felt on your face. You begin to descend the first step down. The stone is certain beneath your foot. The walls on either side close in to perhaps 2 feet of clearance on each side, not tight but close, the closeness that makes you aware of the thickness and weight of the stone surrounding you, not threatening, containing the way a cupped hand contains. Above you, the opening to the walkway and the night sky, a pale rectangle of star-filled dark, still visible, still present. The second step, the night wind, which has been a constant low companion across every part of the walkway you have walked tonight, becomes quieter, still audible but further away. A sound now rather than a sensation. The difference between feeling weather on your skin and knowing it is happening somewhere above you. Your hands trail along the walls on either side. The brick is cool, slightly rough at the joints. Your fingertips read each course of brick as you descend the mortar lines, the slight variation in texture between the fired face of the brick and the matrix that holds it. 6 centuries of this particular wall against no fingers at all, and now yours. The third step. The air is noticeably cooler here. The deep equilibrium of the enclosed stone is asserting itself against the ambient temperature of the autumn night. Your skin registers the change, a clean coolness, mineral and dry, the opposite of damp cold. This is the coolness of something pure and settled. The wind above is a whisper now. Your breath is slow and deep in the cool air. The fourth step, the opening above you has diminished, still visible, still a pale rectangle of sky, but smaller now, less the sky and more a memory of the sky. The staircase has turned once and the direct line upward is now at an angle. The stars visible through the opening are a different small set from the ones that were visible at the top. Something about that shift, about the stars being different, the angle changed, the sky now at a remove, produces a very particular sensation. The sensation of having arrived somewhere, not a destination, an interior, a place that is defined not by what surrounds it, but by what it is separated from. You are separated from the night, from the open wall, from the vast landscape of mountain and forest and sky. From all of that immensity, You have been gently, gradually, voluntarily separated, one step at a time, and what remains after that separation is something very much smaller and very much more complete. The fifth step, the wind is gone, not diminished, gone. The last trace of it disappeared somewhere between the fourth step and this one, absorbed by the stone on all sides until there was no longer enough of it left to register. The air here is motionless, absolutely, completely, permanently motionless. You are breathing in air that is not moving and has not been moving and will not move unless you move it. You take a breath, and the air that enters you has been in this enclosed space for some time. Hours, perhaps, days. It carries no news of the outside world, no pollen, no dust from the path, no trace of pine resin from the forest below, only stone. Only the clean, mineral, ageless smell of brick and mortar and the deep rock beneath. The sixth step, your eyes are adjusting to the deeper dark. There is light ahead, not much, a thin bar of moonlight entering through a horizontal slit in the outer face of the wall at the base of the staircase. It illuminates the bottom step and the floor of the chamber beyond in a stripe of pale silver, steady and still and cold and beautiful. That bar of moonlight has been falling through that same slit in the wall every clear night for 600 years. Right now, at this moment, that exact quality of light, that exact angle, that exact stripe of pale silver on the stone floor, this is not unique to tonight. This has been happening without interruption since the Ming Masons left this place. Every night without an audience, without anyone to see it, simply falling as moonlight falls, because that is what moonlight does. The seventh step. The air is perfectly still. Your footsteps are nearly silent, a barely perceptible scuff of sole on stone. Your breath has become the loudest sound in this space. Not loud, only the loudest. Everything else has been subtracted. You can hear your own heartbeat if you attend to it. That deep, reliable, unceasing percussion, going steadily, every minute, every hour, every night of your life. This sound has been present, mostly unheard, beneath everything else. Down here, with everything else removed, it is audible, patient, steady, going nowhere, completely reliable. The eighth step, the staircase levels. The chamber opens before you. You step onto the floor of the lower chamber and stop. The space is not large, a few paces in each direction. The ceiling above you is a barrel vault of brick, the same round arch geometry as the upper chamber. But lower here, the apex of the vault close enough that the curve of it is immediately present, immediately enclosing. It does not press down, it curves. There is a crucial difference. A pressing ceiling reduces, a curved ceiling holds. The walls on all four sides are plain Ming brick, no decoration, no plaster, no inscription except the quality stamps on certain bricks near the base of the east wall where the lamplight, when there was lamplight here, would have fallen. Faint characters, a name, a unit, a date. Centuries of human memory compressed into a few centimeters of fired clay. The floor is bedrock, genuine mountain bedrock, smoothed at the surface by centuries of use, but underneath, the actual stone of the Yanshan Range, the deep granite that was here before any wall, before any dynasty, before any human name was given to this place. You are standing on the mountain, not on a structure built on the mountain itself. The bar of moonlight crosses the floor from the slit opening in the outer wall, falling at a shallow angle across the bedrock and illuminating a portion of the floor in its thin, steady silver light. In that light, the grain of the stone is visible, the faint banding of the granite, the crystalline glints of mineral embedded in the rock. the evidence that this stone was formed under inconceivable heat and pressure deep in the earth long before anything living walked upon it. You are standing on something very old, older than the wall, older than China, older than human memory. The soldiers who slept in this room centuries ago knew something about rest that most of us have forgotten. The Ming garrison at Mutianyu was organized in small units, each responsible for a stretch of wall. Soldiers rotated between watch duty on the platform above and rest in chambers like this one below. When their watch was complete, they descended these same stairs, lay on this same stone, and let the mountain hold them. The records that survive from those centuries, rare personal letters and diary fragments recovered from family archives in the nearby county, describe the sleep in these chambers with a kind of reverence, the deepest sleep of their lives. Some of them wrote, "Something about the enclosure of the stone, the absolute stillness of the air, the complete removal from the world above, created conditions for a kind of rest that was almost impossible to find anywhere else." One fragment, attributed to a soldier of the general's era and preserved in a local historical collection, describes the lower chamber sleep in a phrase that translates roughly as, "The stone receives you all the way down, not the way a bed receives you, the way the earth receives you, as though the stone and the body are made of the same thing and are simply returning to each other. The stone receives you all the way down." Along the far wall of the chamber, beneath the window slit and its bar of silver light, the sleeping platform runs the full width of the space. You have seen one before. You lay on one in the upper tower in the first hours of tonight's journey. But that platform was in a room that still held some connection to the open world above, to the night air, to the walkway, to the sense of being inside something that was also part of something larger and open. This platform is different. This is the deepest rest available in this wall, deeper than the tower chamber, deeper than the walkway, as deep as it is possible to go inside this structure and still be inside it. The mountain is beneath the floor under your feet. The wall is on all four sides. The barrel vault is above. The night is somewhere above that, and above the night, the stars, and above the stars, the universe in its incomprehensible depth and darkness. And you are at the bottom of it all, inside the mountain, inside the wall, in a chamber that has been waiting in the dark for someone to sleep in it for 300 years. You cross the chamber floor. The moonlight stripe touches your feet as you pass through it. The bedrock is cool and very slightly uneven under each step. You reach the platform. You sit on its edge. The stone takes your weight, as always, completely. The cool of it moves through your clothing and into the backs of your thighs and upward. Your hands rest on the surface beside you. The brick here is smoother than anything in the upper chambers. This platform has had more use, more winters. More soldiers lying still in the cold dark, waiting to be woken for their watch, pressing the brick surface with the accumulated weight of their exhaustion. You sit for a moment, not preparing, only arriving. And then, without hurry, without announcement, you lie back. Your back meets the brick. The long muscles running along either side of your spine release, not gradually. They release the way a breath releases at the end of a long exhale, completely, all at once, the holding simply ceasing, because holding serves no purpose here. The spine settles into the surface, each vertebra finding its natural position. The curve at the lower back, the curve at the upper back, the gentle arc at the neck, all of it received by the brick beneath. The brick does not adjust to you. It does not soften or conform. It simply is, completely and without condition, and your body, given this simple certainty, finds its own way into it. And in finding that way, the body does something it almost never does in ordinary life. It arrives completely. The way a river arrives at the sea after a long journey through the mountains, not with effort, not with decision, only with the quiet recognition that the destination was always here and the traveling is done. In ordinary rest, the body spends so much energy adjusting, shifting, turning. Here, there is nothing to adjust to. The surface is what it is. And so the body, given something that simply holds without condition, does what it has always wanted to do. It rests. The way the wall has been resting in these mountains since the last garrison walked away. Not with effort, only with the gentle cessation of effort that is no longer needed. Your hips are heavy. The word heavy does not quite cover it. The hips are present, undeniably, completely, irrevocably present in this specific location on this specific surface, not floating, not braced, not prepared to move, present with the finality of something that has come to rest after a very long journey. The weight moves outward and downward from the hips, through the upper thighs, the large muscles of the front of the legs which carry the load of walking and standing, and the whole upright human project are fully released. The muscles along the backs of the thighs, the knees unlocked, the calves lengthened, the ankles fallen open, the feet dropped outward at whatever angle they find on their own. Your whole lower body has been given to the stone. The stone has accepted it without comment. Your arms lie at your sides. The muscles that hold the arms up and out and in position through every waking hour have released. The arms are now simply resting beside the body, held by the surface, not by the muscles. The upper arms soft, the forearms relaxed. The wrists at whatever angle they find, the palms facing upward or downward or sideways. It does not matter. The hands have no position they prefer because the hands are not doing anything. Your chest rises and falls. The muscles between your ribs have released their habitual slight bracing. The rib cage expands more fully with each inhale than it has all night and releases more fully with each exhale. The diaphragm, that dome of muscle beneath the lungs, is moving in its slow, deep, primary rhythm. Not the shallow breathing of a tense, waking body, the full, complete, belly-deepening breathing of genuine rest. This is sleep breathing. Your body is breathing in its sleep pattern. It shifted into it without being asked, because the conditions for sleep are complete. The broad muscles of your upper back and shoulders, the ones that hold the accumulated tension of every day like a reservoir, are releasing now in a long, slow wave that moves outward from the spine, toward the shoulders and downward toward the shoulder blades. You may feel it as a spreading warmth, a loosening, a sense of the upper back broadening against the surface below it. Your neck is long. The small muscles at the base of your skull, those often held muscles that manage the head's constant small adjustments, are softening. Your head is heavy. The back of your skull presses gently into the brick, and the brick holds it without effort. Your jaw is unclenched. Your tongue rests soft and heavy in the floor of your mouth. The tiny muscles around your eyes, the ones that hold an expression through the long hours of a waking day, are completely smooth. Your eyelids rest on your eyes with the weight of something that has been closed for a long time and has no reason to open. The barrel vault above you curves in the thin light. Brick by brick, the geometry of it perfect, the keystone at its apex unmoving. 600 years, and it has not shifted by a millimeter. Above the vault, the walkway. Above the walkway, the night. Above the night, the stars. Above the stars, the dark. And you are here, at the bottom of the descent, the deepest point of the night's journey. inside the mountain, inside the wall, inside the most complete stillness available in this ancient, patient, uncomplaining place. Your breath moves in slowly, completely, and out. The soldier's phrase rises from wherever old phrases rise from when the conditions are finally right to receive them. The stone receives you all the way down. Not the way a bed receives you, the way the earth receives you. As though the stone and the body are made of the same thing and are simply returning to each other. You are here. You have arrived. There is nowhere further to go tonight. And the descent is complete. You are lying in the lower chamber of the wall. The stone is beneath you. The mountain is beneath the stone. The bedrock of the Yanshan Range, granite formed under temperatures and pressures beyond imagining, deep in the earth longer ago than the mind can hold, is beneath the mountain. All of that weight and age and permanence is beneath you right now, holding you without effort, without awareness, simply by virtue of being what it is. And you're resting on top of all of it. Your breath is very slow. The body has found its sleeping rhythm, each inhale a gentle, shallow gathering of the still, cool mineral air of this enclosed space. Each exhale a long, complete, unhurried release. The ratio has inverted from what it was when you first arrived tonight. Earlier, the inhale and exhale were roughly equal. Now the exhale is perhaps twice as long as the inhale. This is the respiratory signature of deep rest. The body's deepest calming response has taken hold. Your heart rate has slowed. Your blood pressure has dropped. Everything has quieted. The muscles, all of them, have released their habitual partial contractions. The body is doing everything it does in sleep. The only thing that remains of waking is the thin, soft thread of awareness that is still receiving these words. And that thread is thinning, and perhaps you might notice the towers. The Mutianyu section of the Great Wall has 23 watchtowers. 23 towers, each one standing at its position on the ridgeline above you, each one visible from the next, a chain of stone stretching from the southernmost gate, where you entered tonight, to the furthest northern tower, where the wall descends the far face of the Yanshan Range. They are there whether you count them or not, but if the mind wants something to rest on, something soft and repetitive and requiring nothing at all, the towers are there. Starting at 23, the southernmost, and drifting slowly northward through them, descending toward 1. Each number can take as long as it takes. The silence between each number can be as wide as the night allows. And if at some point the numbers begin to blur, if they arrive from further and further away, if a number simply doesn't come and instead there is only the dark and the stone and the slow breath moving through a body that has given everything to rest, that is not a failure of the counting. That is the counting arriving where it was always going. 23. The Southern Gate Tower. The tallest structure in this section of the wall, built at the point where the road from the nearby county meets the wall and the main entrance gate is set into the base of the tower. The gate arch here is wider than the standard military doorways. Wide enough for a horse and rider to pass through without dismounting. Wide enough, in the years of the garrison, for supply carts to be hauled up the mountain road and brought directly into the wall's interior without unloading. Above the gate arch, the tower rises several stories, each story slightly narrower than the one below, the walls tapering inward in a way that gives the tower its characteristic silhouette against the sky. The topmost level, open to the stars, served as the primary signal platform for this section. Tonight it is open to the stars, 23. 22. A tower built at a point where the wall crosses a natural spring line in the mountain. Water seeps through the granite here in a slow, cold, continuous movement that has been occurring for as long as the mountain has existed. The tower's foundation was carefully built to work with this water, redirecting its flow beneath the structure rather than fighting it. 600 years later, the water still moves beneath the tower in its slow, cold underground way. The tower stands dry above it. 21. The first tower you noticed from the walkway tonight, long before you reached it, its amber window visible from a great distance. The lamp that has been burning in its lower chamber since before you arrived on the wall and will be burning when you leave. Inside, on the low wooden table beside the lamp, your empty cup. The dark ceramic still slightly warm from the tea it held. The steam that rose from it now dissolved into the still air of the chamber, the woman gone, the lamp burning. The lamp burning, 21, 20. Your breath moves in and out, 2019. A tower positioned at the highest point of this section of the wall, where the ridgeline reaches its greatest elevation. From this tower's signal platform on a clear winter day, when the atmosphere over the plain is at its most transparent, it is said to be possible to see the outline of the mountains that surround Beijing, far to the south. A soldier stationed here would have stood at the very apex of the visual chain, able to see further in every direction than any of his counterparts. Tonight, from that platform, only the stars, and the Milky Way, the Silver River, Tianhe crossing the sky in its soft, broad band of ancient light, the same stars the soldier saw, the same river. 1918. Your body is very heavy now. This is not a metaphor. The body has relaxed so completely into the surface beneath it that the boundary between the warmth of the body and the coolness of the stone has almost ceased to be a boundary. The exchange of temperature that began when you first lay down has reached its equilibrium. You and the stone are the same temperature in the places where you touch. You are becoming, very slightly, part of the wall. 1817. A tower at the site of one of the wall's original signal tests, conducted 3 years after the general completed the reconstruction of this section. The test was simple. A fire was lit at the northernmost tower at dusk, and each tower passed the signal southward along the chain. The light traveled faster than any horse could run, leaping from peak to peak across the mountain ridgeline, a chain of 23 fires burning one after another in the gathering dark. The test was considered a success. 17. 16. Silence. Your thoughts, if there are thoughts, have become very thin. They arrive perhaps as the faintest suggestions of images or fragments of words, not full thoughts, echoes of thought, shadows of the day that are still present, but no longer have any weight. They cannot anchor. They cannot ask anything of you. They are only passing through the way the wind passed through the crenellations above before you descended here, and they leave the same thing behind them as the wind left behind. Nothing, only the quiet that was already there. 16. 15. A tower with a particularly wide lower chamber, built at a point where the wall's construction required a larger store of materials. The extra space was used, in the general's era, as a place of quiet recovery. A physician from the nearby garrison visited this tower regularly, tending to soldiers who needed rest. The chamber itself became a place where the body could be still and attended to and held by the stone. Soldiers rested in this chamber. They lay on platforms like the one beneath you now. They breathed this same still, cool, mineral air, and their bodies, given rest and stillness and time, did what bodies have always done when given those things. They healed. 15. 14. Your breath. In, out. The diaphragm moving in its slow dome-shaped arc, the ribs expanding, the ribs releasing, the chest rising and falling with the patient regularity of something that does not need to be timed or counted or managed. It simply goes on. 14, 13. The wall beyond this tower descends for the first time tonight, below the highest ridgeline before climbing again toward the northern section. In that descent, the builders used more of the rice mortar, because the lower elevations expose the wall to greater moisture from the valley fog that pools against the hillside in autumn and winter mornings. They used more rice, more care, more of the patient, precise mixing that had made this mortar different from everything else. They did not need to understand the science of it. They understood the result, refined across centuries of building. They knew what worked. Sometimes knowledge precedes understanding by a very long time. The wall descended and held 13. 12. Something is happening with the numbers. You may have noticed it already, or you may not, which is entirely fine. The numbers are becoming slightly harder to reach, not because they are further away exactly, more because the distance between them has grown. The silence after each number is wider than the silence after the one before it, and in each widening silence there is something that is not quite thought and not quite sleep, but the warm, dark, borderless country between the two. This is the right direction. This is where the count was always going. 12:11. The soldiers of the general's reformed garrison were not drawn from the hereditary military families that had supplied the earlier armies. Instead, he recruited from the general population, farmers, craftsmen, the younger sons of small landowners who would not inherit and had no clear path forward, men who had something to prove and nothing guaranteed. He trained them himself, using methods he had developed and written about in his own military manual, a book on discipline and effectiveness. He wrote in one of its chapters, "Rest is not a reward for work completed. It is the foundation from which all things become possible." A general writing in the 1560s, what the wisest part of you has always known. The wall he built is still here. The words he wrote are still here. And you're resting right now in the place those words were written to protect. 11:10. You are very deep. The body is completely given over. The mind is present. Somewhere in the way that the moon is present on a cloudy night, you know it is there, but it is not directing anything. It is not managing anything. It is simply floating somewhere above the body, which is lying on the ancient stone, which is resting in the body of the wall, which is standing on the granite of the Yanshan Range, which has been here for longer than anything alive can remember. All of that time beneath you, all of that stone beneath you. And you, floating above it all like the moon above the clouds. 10:9. The wall, 600 years of it. 9:8. Your breath in, out, each exhale longer than the last. 8:7. The numbers are very far apart now. You may find this one arrived after a long time, or you may not have noticed the time at all. Both are fine. Both are exactly right. The count is not a task. It is a tide going out, each number a wave that reaches the shore and pulls back, and the water goes further back each time, and the shore is wider each time, and the quiet left behind is deeper each time. 7:6. Somewhere in the archives in Beijing, in the collection maintained from the documents of the Board of Works, there are the original construction plans for this section of the wall, drawings on rice paper, showing the cross sections of the wall at various points, the thickness of the facing courses, the dimensions of the tower chambers, the gradient of the walkway drainage. These documents are centuries old, and they are intact. They have been read by perhaps a few dozen scholars in all that time. The wall they describe has been walked by millions. The wall outlasted the dynasty that built it. The wall outlasted the dynasty that abandoned it. The wall is still here. And so are you. 6, 5. The moonlight bar on the floor of this chamber has moved since you came down the stairs. You may not have been tracking it, but it has moved. The moon is lower in the sky now, and the angle of the light through the narrow slit has changed, and the silver stripe on the bedrock has shifted from where it was when you first stepped off the bottom stair. Time is passing. The night is deepening. The stars are completing their slow arc. Everything above is in its patient, unhurried motion. And everything here is completely still. 5, 4. The wall rests. 300 years of resting, the greatest wall ever built, the longest structure in human history, standing in the mountains with no purpose and no garrison and no signal fires and no one watching the northern horizon. Simply standing, in every season, in every weather. Patient as stone is patient, which is to say, without any experience of patience at all, without knowing it is waiting, without any relationship to time. The wall does not know it has been resting for 300 years. It only rests, as you only rest, without knowing how long, without needing to know. 4, 3. If there is still some small part of you that is listening, that is exactly right. You do not need to stop listening. You do not need to do anything at all. This voice is only here. It asks nothing. It will continue whether you're with it or not, and you are already where tonight was always taking you. You have been there for some time. The stone knows it. The mountain knows it. 3, 2. The bedrock of the Yanshan Range. Older than memory, still here. 2, 1. The wall rests. The mountain rests. The 300 years of quiet above this stone are the same quiet that is here now. In this breath, in this body, in this ancient stone room that has been waiting in the dark for someone to arrive and rest in it, and finally tonight, you came. 1, and the count is complete, and what comes after the count has no number. It has no name. It is only this, the stone, the dark, the breath moving through you like a tide. You are already there. You have been there since the counting stopped making sense. You are resting as the wall rests, as the mountain rests, as everything rests in the end when the holding is no longer necessary. Everything is resting, including you, especially you. The count is done, and what comes after the count has no number and no name and no edge that the mind can find by reaching for it. There is only this, the lower chamber of the wall. The ancient granite beneath the floor, 600 years of brick on every side. The barrel vault above, holding its perfect curve in the thin light. The moonlight stripe on the bedrock floor, shifted now from where it was when you arrived, moved by the slow turning of the sky falling at a shallower angle, softer, wider, barely there. The night has deepened. You have deepened with it. Your breath in, very slowly, out. There is a quality to the air in this chamber that you may have noticed without naming. The air that is here now has been here for some time. It has not come from outside. It is not the mountain night air with its mineral quality and its faint trace of pine. It is older than that. It is the air of an enclosed stone room that has been sealed against the weather for centuries, warmed and cooled by the slow cycling of the seasons through the walls, breathed by soldiers on cold watch rotations for 200 years, and then not breathed at all for 300 more. You are breathing the air of a room that has been resting. And with each breath you take, you are becoming part of that rest. The air enters you. The rest enters you. The 300 years of undisturbed quiet enters you and stays the body completely still. The stone beneath it completely still. The mountain beneath the stone completely still. Everything still, your hands open, resting against the cool brick. Not holding anything at all. Your chest rising and falling, rising and falling. The diaphragm moving in its slow, primary, ancient rhythm, the same rhythm it has kept since before you were born, the same rhythm it will keep tonight without any instruction from you at all. Breathing only, breathing, nothing else required. The soldiers who slept on this platform centuries ago, they breathed this same air. They lay on this same stone. They listened to the same absolute silence of this enclosed room, the wind reduced to nothing, the world above reduced to nothing, only the stone and the dark and the breath. And one by one, without ceremony, without announcement, they crossed the threshold. Not into nothing, into rest, into the deep, complete, nourishing rest that the body has always known how to reach when it is given the conditions and the permission. The conditions are here, the permission is here. The Ming Dynasty, gone, the Qing Dynasty. Gone, the garrisons gone, the signal fires. Long cold, the wall, still here, still standing. Still resting in these mountains as it has been resting for 3 centuries. Still, and you are inside it, part of it in this moment. Part of the rest that has been practicing itself here for 300 years. No effort, no duration, no difference between one breath and the next except that each one is slightly slower, slightly softer, slightly further from the surface of things. Further, your thoughts, if there are thoughts, are like the moonlight on the floor present, moving very slowly, leaving nothing behind. The mind, somewhere above the body now, not directing, not managing, only floating. The way the moon floats above the clouds, present, unhurried, gradually dissolving into the dark, the stone, the breath, the dark. These 3 things, only these 3 things. The stone holds you, the breath moves through you. The dark receives you completely. The wall has been resting for 300 years. You have been resting for long enough, long enough. There is nothing more that tonight requires. Nothing more, only this breath moving in. And this breath moving out, and the stone beneath you, ancient and certain and holding everything without effort, as it has held everything for 6 centuries, as the mountain beneath it has held everything for longer than memory can reach, as the dark above holds everything, as the whole vast, patient universe holds everything, always, without asking anything, without noticing, without end. holds you, holds you, holds you. The wall sleeps. The mountain sleeps. The 300 years of quiet above this stone are the same quiet that is here now, in this breath, in this body, in this ancient room where the moonlight falls and the granite holds and the dark receives, and nothing is required of you. Nothing. Not even wakefulness, especially not wakefulness. Your body knows what to do. It has always known. You only had to bring it here, to this stone, to this dark, to this rest that has been waiting here for 300 years, specifically for you. And now you are here. And the rest is complete, and the wall is resting, and the mountain is resting, and you're sleeping. Gently, deeply, without effort, without end. Good night. Sleep well.